Here, I haven't even had a chance to look at them all. Okay, so some will be for you and some will be for me if we can answer them, according to what Swami would think. This one says, can you explain the importance of, and I don't know what the word is, can you explain the importance of compatibility matching through Hindu astrology? You know, there's always this question that comes up about, marriage arrangements versus a love marriage. All I have to say is that it's already been predestined. It makes no difference which way you go. You're not going to miss the boat, because Swami says, before your barn, around your neck is an invisible garland. And everything in that garland is what will happen to you in this life. I've lived in America all my life, and marriage arrangements is not a part of our culture. Love marriages are. And what I have to say is not a whole lot of success going on with that right now. When my mom and dad got married, they lived in a smaller community. And they all went to school together. The families all knew one another. And most of them married within the community and married either brothers or sisters of someone else. So they had all known one another for a very long time before they even got married. So in some form it was kind of like arranging. But it seems to me, if you look at it from a logical point of view, that if you do astrology charts and if you try to arrange that there's similar backgrounds, to me it sounds like it makes more sense than just shooting fish in a barrel. It seems more logical because your mother and father know you quite well, and if they can arrange a similar cultural situation for you, it's less problems. Robert and I got married because we were attracted to one another. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when he seen me and I seen him, it was like, we both, and we didn't know anything about karma or anything else. And there was a song at that time that was very popular. It was called Destiny. And so we both were familiar with that, and it truly was our destiny. But you see, I was Catholic and he was Protestant. So his parents told him, whatever you do, don't marry a Catholic. And my parents told me whatever I should do is not marry someone that wasn't Catholic. So do you see what problems we had to begin with? We had very loving parents, both of us. And even though they objected, they didn't put up much problems for us. His brother did, never spoke to me for years and years and years, still haven't got the best of relationship. But we had a lot of barriers to work through just on the spiritual aspect of it, just on the religious aspect of it. So Robert, over years, finally took Catholic instructions and became a Catholic. And so we both end up in Hinduism. So, sometimes we make up such an importance whether the religions are the same. It's the heart that's important. It's the heart. And I sometimes wonder, because there was this challenge. I remember I had an aunt, and she said, it doesn't make any difference how you start out. It's what you do in your life that's important. And so I remembered that always. And maybe we worked even harder because we knew it was what our parents didn't want. But it took a lot of commitment on both of our parts. But what we have, I wouldn't trade it for the world. This is a funny thing, but I get ready to tell Robert a story. And I can just mention a line, and we both start laughing our head off. If he was a new partner, it'd take a 30-minute explanation, and at my age, the memory's not so good. So there's so many advantages And if you have problems, wonderful. If you didn't have them, what would you work through? You know, it's important. I used to always say, we don't love each other when we get married. You don't really know what pure unconditional love is. Only Swami knows that, and he's teaching us. But what bonded Robert and I was the struggles. The problems that we have with our own relationships, the problems that we have with the kids, the difficulties that we went through. We shared these together, and what grew as a bond was I knew he would be there for me, and he knew I would be there for him. You see, it strengthened us. So in the beginning, you're sharing a lot of negativity, because who can give pure unconditional love? If we could, we wouldn't be here. We're learning how to give it. And if we communicate like you so beautifully displayed, Swami's taught Robert and I what this pure unconditional love is. And if it wasn't for him, in his masterful teachings, he's helped us so much, but it took a lot of effort.
Okay, first of all, what Swami says about astrology, he says it is truth. It's just the people who interpret it. And you have to be careful that way. Now, this question is basic. Can you please explain the parents were arranging their child's marriage? Well, look at it this way. If your parents arrange your marriage, you can always blame them. That's what some young adults said. And the young adults did a really wonderful role play in Chicago. Because there they have, a lot of Indians like yourself who were been in the West like Malaysia. And so they played the roles of marriage, arranged versus not being arranged. And what they finally showed was that we have to communicate and compromise, okay? That because someone is put in a position that they do, quote, fall in love because of the situation, you should not gossip about that family. There's a very dear Indian friend of ours back east, and his daughter at medical school met a Western man and fell in love. And the gossip from side devotees that he was a terrible parent was not nice, because that happened. Swami says gossip is the worst thing you can do. The tongue, you can fall and break your arm, but the tongue slips and it can last forever. So you have to be very careful about these situations. You don't know the karma involved. You don't know these things. So just give them love like Swami does. Swami never, when he brings people in, he would never say negative things about them like some people do. Will I be strongly attracted to a man Swami wills for me? Well, if Swami wills it, it's your karma. How many have read the book Song of My Life by Jeanette Crothers? Everybody order it, get it, and circulate it. Song of My Life by Narasimhan said, someday it'll be looked at as great as The Ancient Mariner. It was written like in a prose book. This girl became a devotee. She had 2 sons and a husband. The husband became an alcoholic, but he was not abusive. Okay? She was going to get divorced. Swami said, no. No divorce.
He drank all the time. She did all the work. Many times she wanted to leave, and Swami said no. So what the outcome was this. There was 4 boys, 4 souls that died. And 3 of them had attained self-realization, but the 4th one had not. And so they decided to come back another life to help this other soul to attain self-realization. The drunkard husband was the oldest boy. The two sons were the other two souls, and she was the one that needed the help. So you see, after she worked through all of her karma and attained what she needed to attain, her husband stopped drinking and became a devotee of Swami's. You see, we don't know, do we? We play different roles, and we look at some as good and some as bad. And we have no idea of what our souls need to experience and who's helping us. My daughter was on drugs and alcohol. She gave Robert and I so much trouble. But we grow closer to Swami through that than anything, and I call her my greatest guru as far as my children. She's turned out really well, but she still has not drug and alcohol problems, but she has trouble keeping a job. But she now has a 17-year-old daughter who is a beautiful girl, and she's taught me a lot of things. My daughter is a manic depressant. She has the intelligence of a 13-year-old. She's taught me things about parenting. She's disciplined her child very much. And just to give you one of her cute stories, she says, Mom, she said, this was when Tara was 14. Mom, she says, this boy called up today and wanted to go out with Tara. I wanted Tara to go to the movies. So I get on the phone and I said, well, what movie do you want to take Tara to? And he tells me, and she says, well, that's not a bad movie. But if you can afford to buy 3 tickets, one for me, one for my brother-in-law, and one for Tara, then you can take her to the movies. End of story. End of story. I mean, this girl's very creative, right? Huh? So there's always good that comes out of everything that we may think is negative. So what attraction to the man Swami wills for me? Let me tell you, attraction only lasts for so long. What I'm trying to say is attraction isn't everything, okay? Many times people in your communities have gotten married and didn't even know each other. How could you possibly be attracted to each other at that time? But it's what you do afterwards that's important in your relationship. Marriages are willed by Swami. Does that mean I can sit tight at home, mind my own business, and Swami will do what's necessary to bring the right man to me? It depends. You know, sometimes I say you could be walking through an airport and trip over somebody and you'll find him there. If you're to meet someone, it'll happen. If your parents are to bring someone to you, it will happen. You cannot make a mistake. It's impossible. It's already been divinely willed who you're going to marry. The time is God's. And many times you want it to happen and it's not, and you get anxious, and that we can all understand. I can't figure that one out.
Well, be a housewife and a career woman. Boy, yeah, it's tough to be a supermom.
No, I didn't either.
Well, be a housewife and a career woman.
It says, how if I like to be a housewife and be like a career woman? I'm not sure I understand that question.
Yeah, it must be and a career
woman.
Yeah, you're not super women, okay? You're not super moms, you're not super women. That's the new term, you know? And
Swami says, I mean, this is for people who don't have any children. If you want a career, go for a career. If you want to have children, then you better seriously think about staying home at least for the first 5 years. After the parenting workshop, I'm telling you, you have no idea what you're doing to your kids when you leave them. No idea whatsoever. Their whole emotional stability. And there is nothing stronger. I don't care if a person doesn't speak the right words. I don't care if the vocabulary isn't good. It's the emotional security that they get from a mother. And that love cannot be replaced by anyone else. That baby has heard your voice for 9 months. And after 2 weeks, they hand it over to somebody else, and that child doesn't hear mom's voice all day. How would you like it if you're an infant who can only respond emotionally? I can't say enough about it. The most important job or career a woman can have is to take care of her child. And if you get married and your partner agrees and you have children, then you owe the mother and father, it is your duty and your karma to take care of and raise that child.
Yeah. Swami, at the first Balvikas International Symposium, I think was in 81, all the teachers sitting in the hall, okay? Swami came the second day, and he looked out, and most of them were school teachers in those days who went in the Balvikas that came to that conference from all over the world. And he looked at him and said, all yous who are school teachers, who have children under the age of 5, why are you working? You should be home taking care of that child until the child is after 5. And boy, you could hear a pin drop. Because you knew a lot of those teachers were working and not taking care of their responsibility. The in-laws were taking it, their grandparents were taking it. It was their duty and responsibility. Boy, Swami, I'm sure, touched a chord because there was silence there. And he's tough and he's strict. But that's all we can repeat is what he says.
It's a couple living together for 5 years. Then they got married. After 2 years, the husband is filing for divorce. Reason given is they are not compatible. How is it possible that after 7 years they claim that they are not compatible? Oh, I'm not a mind reader. I mean, there's no way that you can answer anything like this. Living together for 5 years to begin with is a problem. Okay, because the guy wants out. Otherwise, he'd have made a commitment to begin with. So if I'd lived with some guy for 5 years without being married, I would have left him. All you're doing is wasting your time. If they love you, don't take them 5 years to make a commitment. We have to get smart. We have to use our common sense. Swami says my devotees have no common sense. He says they're confused. They lost their fuse. Good, huh?
How will a person know whether the other person is compatible? Is chemistry important? I think we've kind of touched on that enough.
Chemistry is important. I mean, that's why Swami told the boys from New York, if you see a girl and you feel something in your heart, you feel something there, then investigate. Go talk to the girl. Talk to her parents. Whatever. You know, my Swami put my son and my daughter-in-law together. So they didn't know one another, but they've worked very well. It's not that it was easy, but they've worked at it. And I used to tell my kids, look, you haven't seen the most perfect mom and dad. You haven't seen the most perfect relationship. But what you did see is when we had crises and problems, we worked on it. Now, if you think you're going to get married and have a sweet sale, then you've got really good karma. But that's usually not the case. None of us are perfect. Are we? Are you awake?
Yeah, I'm not
Testing.
sure.
1, 2.
I'm not sure this is true statement. Swami says sons should not leave their parents. Something.
House.
Oh, how?
House after marriage?
No, it's not house. After marriage. Is this practical in today's society?
I don't know what it says.
I can't figure the one word out. But
Swami said sons should not leave their parents. It's house.
is it house?
House after
Oh.
marriage. Huh? Parents' house after marriage. Do sons live with their parents? Huh? Is this practical in today's society? I've never heard Swami say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody else knows something I don't. I never
There's
heard
a
Swami
difference between honor, you know, and things like this. I do know we were in New York at a conference, and an Indian man came up to me in tears and said, my son has thrown me out of the house and I live in a hotel now. What do I do? And, I said, what can I say? I don't know what to do. How can I go see Swami? I said, well, try to go see him. His culture was so, who knows what conflicts was going on? Who knows what happened? Maybe somebody was abusive to the spouse or something in the relationship. I know many times I have a very dear friends in a mixed marriage. The mother of the boy speaks in a dialect from India, and the spouse, the lady, his wife, does not understand. That's not love. She feels that this separation from the mother-in-law, because she is speaking something to her husband she doesn't understand. That's not a loving relationship. The lady says she's a devotee. How can she be a devotee and treat her son's wife that way? She really can't. She doesn't understand Swami's teachings. But this something inside of her is doing it. I don't know why. Who knows the head trips these people go through and what she's doing, but it's not love.
You see what happens if you don't have a good relationship with your spouse? You transfer that love to your children. And many times you want to hang on to your children to get their attention and love when you should really be getting it from your spouse. And so it creates a lot of problems. That's why it's so important for a husband and wife to have a good relationship so they can build a strong, healthy foundation for the kids. There's a time that we have to let go. And when your children get married, it's time to let go. They now have their own life to lead. And we were very fortunate with each other's parents. Our parents never interfered. They may not have agreed with us, but they never interfered in our life. And I respected them so very much. And it also taught me not to interfere in my children's life. They're going to make mistakes after they're married. How do you think the two of us grew and learned? It was from the mistakes that we made, you see? So many times parents want to throw out a safety net, and they want to protect their child to a degree that they don't want him to live. I mean, you can use all the words you want on a child. Let's say he's old enough to be on his own or married. But many times, they're not ready to listen. They have to find their own way. And Swami tells us when you become a grandmother, when you're 50, start observing. When you're 60, you see, it's important for us to be examples. I'm not saying don't go and be, don't go to the household. Be good examples for your children. But telling them what to do does not work. My mom said to me once, I only want to give you one piece of advice. And when my first daughter got married, and she says, never tell your children what to do after they get married. And it was a good piece of advice. It keeps harmony and respect and separation. Once you leave your parents' home, you honor, respect, and do things for your mother and dad. But to have mother and dad sitting in between us, I just got done doing a role play that you've seen causes so much trouble. You got to find your own way and get rid of the programming that existed from your parents.
But then respect them, as Swami says.
Respect them, love them, help them, whatever. I had our parents over for dinner. His parents and mine all the time. We had birthday parties at our house every month. All the holidays, they always came.
And incorporate them in your family, but yet find out who you are too. Balance activities.
Yeah. Is Swami serious when he says women should not work? Of course. Of course.
Wait a minute. Now you just spent all this time saying how women who stay at home don't work? You just got through saying
Is
that.
Swami serious when he says women should not work?
What?
She meant
I
a
know,
career.
I know, I'm just
I
teasing
think this
you,
person
dear.
meant a career. If I'm having trouble reading your handwriting and answering the questions wrongly, please,
I want to tell you this.
Swami says, his quotes are, he wants to educate women, and he wants women to go through universities and get degrees. But it's for the purpose, if they're going to get married and have children, it's for the purpose of having character development in their children. That's what's important, is to save a soul that is born, to raise them to a higher status. You don't want the child to go to a lesser status, right? It's not easy. Women don't want to stay in the home. And when they get a fancy degree and they're out in the work field, to come back in the home and stay there is boring. And they don't want to do it. I think I had it much easier because I got married, didn't have a career, and stayed at home, and it was just a natural thing. So I didn't have that big adjustment.
It's difficult staying at home.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's why the husbands and the fathers and everybody, grandfathers need to praise. We praise our kids all the time for staying at home, the mothers. Oh, we are so proud of you. You're doing such great work. My daughter, she had a question for Swami we asked, and just to give you his idea. She stayed in home mother. She's got 1619. She's now doing some small assistant teaching. But she's home during the off hours. I mean, she's at school when the kids are at school, but she wants to write children's storybooks. So she said she thinks I can ask Swami anything. I mean, she's always got these lists of questions, and it's the first time we've even asked Swami a question about her. I said, Swami, I said, my daughter wants to write storybooks. I said, for children. I said, can she do this? Swami said, yes, but no full-time work. It is her duty to stay home with her children. Does that answer your question?
He said no 8-hour works.
And she's got she's got a big fancy degree.
Yes. In other words, no permanent job.
No permanent job. In other words, he knew she was doing part-time job. Substitute teaching, but not a full-time career. Now, please don't misunderstand me. There are situations where there's single parents that have to work. There are situations that both people can't make ends meet. Use your common sense. There's always these exceptions to the rule. But many times it's because we want the bigger cars and the fancier clothes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you really evaluate it and scale down like Robert and I said, I want you at home. We moved from a bigger house to a small house. We didn't drive new cars. We drove old clunkers that he had his head under the hood half of the time at night trying to fix them so they'd work the next day. There was a couple we knew. He was a billionaire. He's a devotee. He had so much money. Big house, everything. All of a sudden, he was in the investment business for people, and I don't know, there was a downturn in the market. He lost all of his money. And he told his wife, she had a PhD, I think. Not MBA.
She was a Harvard MBA.
Harvard MBA.
At the time when a Harvard MBA woman could work any place in the world.
He says, you go get a job. She says, I'm not getting a job. I got 2 kids. I'm staying home and raising my 2 children, and I'll live in a mobile home. I'll live in a trailer park. But I am not going to leave my children. Within about a year, the guy had made all of his money back.
Paid off the government taxes.
Everything. Do you see what Swami does? Do you see, if we're willing to sacrifice, do you see what he does? It's the commitment to follow Swami's teachings. It is so important, and if we do, his grace just comes in.
Now, to show you what else these people did, the girls were teenagers, and I see them in Buddha Party. They said, Swami has given us everything. They went to one of the Russian countries to work there to help that government do something in the financial things. And they were living in, very difficult situations. And we see them in Buddha Party. They said, oh, we know it was a sacrifice. But we know this is really what Swami wanted us to do, to help someone else because he helped us. I mean, these are the kind of values that devotees really can be created from Swami. It's sacrifice, being selfless. And there are so many of you out there. Just with all the wonderful work you're doing here. It's not easy though, is it? But it's so rewarding, so rewarding.
You mentioned, Rita, that when a boy likes a girl, he should speak to his parents and find an opportunity to approach the girl with the parents. First of all, that didn't come from Rita. That's what Swami said to a group of young single adults from New York City who Swami had in for an interview. And they were asking him, what do you do if you don't want us to date? And Swami said, if you feel something inside, you feel some kind of interest or attraction, then you go to that girl's parents and talk to the girl. And if the door is going to open, if this is the right one, it will open. You just can't imagine what Swami does. I mean, if it's to be, it will be. If this really possible in today's time and culture, well, Swami said so, it must be. It depends on your motive. It depends on your rational reasoning. If you're to meet someone and you keep yourself pure, that person will find you. The more neurotic you are, your neurosis meet and mesh. The purer you come, the higher your values, you will attract that type of energy. You see, you attract it. Now, what if it was the girl who likes the boy? Now, ladies, we have a problem. Surely she cannot be taking the same approach. I love it. You find an answer to that one, let me know.
Right, Swami.
We do, right, Swami?
Right, Swami.
We do have a lot of patience, don't we, huh? Oh, see, I'm not sure about all this words. Where's Brother Reddy? Come up here a minute. Take a look at this. I can't make this all
How
up.
do I know that I'm compatible with another person? Number one, you may have some common interest, which is Swami, singing bhajans or doing things, but I can guarantee you won't be compatible because you marry opposites. Okay? You are going to rub your egos. That's what Swami says it's all about. And you know this in any relationship. You will have common interest, but don't look for, it's, like she said, Disneyland, You're going to have all these trials and tribulations and rubbing. That's growth. That's what it's really all about.
This one, I had to have a little interpretation here because our language references is different. Do we stay together? If my spouse has a biting habit, he is a very nice guy, but when he lost his temper, he can bend. When the situation is really too hot. So you said that bent means stubborn, huh? Stubborn? If somebody has a biting habit, that's what, biting himself, biting a cigar, biting what, just a biting habit. And Robert and I both got an ice cream biting habit, huh? It's got B-I-T-T-I-N-G.
Beating. Okay.
Beating? Huh? Okay.
Swami said that is the only time
Yeah, I got Swami's quote in here.
about violence. You should not stay with the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swami's got a quote that If you're in a violent situation, abusive situation, Swami says that is the time that you don't need to stay in that situation. That's the time that you can leave, or you should leave, so that you're not hurting yourself. I have to look for it. Now I have 2 epistles up here that somebody has written, and I haven't had a chance to read all of them yet. So the 2 people that wrote these long letters on long paper, please come and talk to me privately after the session. Okay? All right? I think we're finished. I feel like we went through a test. Boy. We had a wonderful time. Oh, I gotta sing my song for you. Yeah, I was telling the guys during the break that there's this little song, and it's a cute one, and it's especially great for children.
Oh.
And since you all attended our marriage workshop, you're all children. Swami's children. Have you ever heard Old MacDonald Had a Farm? Yes. Okay. Old Sai Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a ram, E-I-E-I-O, with a Sai Ram here and a Sai Ram there, here a ram, there a ram, everywhere a Sai Ram. Old Sai Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a sheep, E-I-E-I-O, with a Baba here and a Baba there, here a Baba, there a Baba, everywhere Sai Baba. Old Sai Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a lion, E-I-E-I-O, with a Darshan lion here and a Darshan lion there, here a Darshan lion, everywhere a Darshan lion. Old Sai Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a car, E-I-E-I-O, with an old car here and an old car there, here a car, there a car, everywhere an old car. Old Sai Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a party, E-I-E-I-O, with a Buddha party here and a Buddha party there, here a party, there a party, everywhere a Buddha party. Old Sai Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Isn't that good? Huh? One more. Oh, we've had a wonderful time. Just wonderful. We're letting you out of school at 8:30. Aren't you lucky? 30 minutes early.
Baba had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, when it's ready here and ready there, every place is ready.
Now you know why Swami doesn't let him sing. Do you know our kids forbade him to sing? They said, Dad, you were all tone deaf because you sang to us as children. Whatever you do, don't sing to our children. Anyway, it's sad to say goodbye. We've made such lovely friends and feel all of your love in your hearts. We're all struggling. We're all trying. Work hard at your relationships. I hope this gives you a little more substance and a little more enthusiasm to go home and work with each other. And for the new people who are not married, you have got a jump start. You know that when you get married, it will be a honeymoon period. Make the most of it. And then you will know that your egos and everything are going to get in the way, and you're going to start hurting each other, and the hurt's going to build up, and you're going to have a crisis. And those are the games you play, and the challenge is what you do with the problems. That's the challenge. And the end result is love. And if you're in a situation where it can't work, and there are dilemmas sometimes that it can't work. One person wants to work and the other one don't. You write him a letter and mail it. And another thing I found out in our relationship, that if I didn't give any negativity to my spouse, Because when you give negativity each other, I'd say it was his fault. He'd say it was my fault. Now, if he says it's my fault, then he doesn't have to look at his fault. If I say it's his fault, then I don't have to look at my fault. When I stopped giving negativity in our relationship, or if I did, I'd say I'm sorry right away. What does Swami say? When you don't give any negativity back, it goes back to the sender. The best way to get a spouse to look at themselves is for you to stay sweet, loving, and give no negativity, because then they have nobody to blame. I had nobody to blame. Eventually, you have to look at yourself. And that's where the change comes. Like Swami, he keeps giving us love, even though we make mistakes. If you can keep giving your spouse love, that love will transform the other individual. And it works. It really works. We all know that. We've seen what he's done. Yes, Sairam, Robert says. Sairam, God bless.
How sad. You're so tired. A loud applause, please. They must hear this in the USA. I don't think we can thank them enough. And I tell you, I'm going to miss them very much. We've had this chance to be with them for the whole week. And many of us heard them, I think, in many various other centers. I'm sure you're going to miss them. Yeah. But then everything has to come to an end, right? And
We got emails, don't forget. We always get emails.
okay. You gave their...
I want to give my email.
Their emails will be written, so you could always contact them. Now, since this is a marriage workshop and you need both the male and the female to be involved in marriage, so last week we called one person to come forward and thank both of you on behalf of the participants. But today we have two persons, one from here and one from there. So as normally we say ladies first, we'll call Gayatri to come forward and thank you on behalf of this part. Okay. Thank you.
The kind girl.
Sairam, dear uncles and aunties, my brothers and sisters. Just a short note of appreciation to both Brother Robert and Sister Rita. Thank you very much for spending your entire week, of course, but in particular today. Thank you very much for having this workshop. I think there are many of us here who are either contemplating marriage or have been doubtful about stepping into marriage. And there's a variety of people here, all with their own issues. I believe you've addressed the various issues. And thank you very much for having this workshop. And my biggest thanks to Swami for bringing the both of you here, for including Malaysia in your world tour. Thank you very much for coming by. And if all of us could put our hands together and thank them.
Thank you. It was short and sweet. But now I'm getting a little worried. In the next 1 year, we'll receive a lot of wedding cards. So we have to slot all these weddings within our Sai activity schedules. And of course, you know, when wedding card comes, you also have to take something out of the pocket. So save up, please. Okay. Now I'll call upon Brother Mahindran. He's VP, Vice President for Service, to come and say thanks on behalf of this. Okay, brother?
The all-around guy.
Yes.
Saram, on behalf of the council, we would like to thank again, as what Gayatri said. Just one note, yesterday I was Dr. Vijay's clinic for some treatment, and I saw one gentleman outside waiting to see Dr. Vijay, and asked he attended last Saturday and Sunday this workshop. I asked him, how's the session? He said, fantastic. It's really working. I said, they mentioned, husband and wife mentioned a lot of things. Tell me what is interesting and what is working. he said the contract is working very well. Because they actually asked us to sign a contract with our children, what to do and what is sort of a punishment, and that's working very well. Sister and brother, it is also working very well in my family. So my husband and wife both sat and discussed with my children, and we have come to an understanding. So last 1 week it is working, and we intend to pursue this seriously, and I'm sure it's going to work. And thank you very much. And I think I also like to thank Brother Reddy, who actually organized it very well. A to Z, everything is on the dot. He took care of the speakers, he took care of the participants, he took care of the finance, he took care of everything. And before I finish, I'd like just to say one more thing. The best example to our children, the best example to our wife or husband, it is you, it's we. We are the best example. Children learn 80% from their parents. So we set an example, they learned a lot of good habits. So with that, thank you very much. On behalf of Council, once again, I'd like to thank. You're most welcome next year. We will organize you to go up north, down south. As you all know, Brother Professor Ani Kumar is coming. We are arranging him to go up north and down south. So we will also arrange if you prepare to come next year and share your experience with us. May God, Bhagavan, bless you. You can go around all over the world, share this experience with many others, and let many families be happy, stay together, and pray together. Sairam.
Thank you, Brother Mahindran. He mentioned about the contract. He didn't tell the complete truth. They have signed contracts with their kids, and his wife told me she got him to sign a contract with her. So always speak the truth, okay, not half the truth. Now you all know, huh? These are the guys who come out and macho, go home, yes dear, yes dear. Yes. Okay. Now comes the president of the... Oh, so fast now. Okay, Billy. Brother Billy, please come forward. Brother Billy is our president, I'm sure you all know. So he will give his closing remarks.
Thank you, Brother Reddy. Salam, brothers and sisters. First of all, I must apologize for not being able to be with you all here for the earlier part of the day because I was involved in the interfaith meeting. I really missed the session, okay? Unfortunately, I got the thing recorded on video, so I can still look back at that. I was sitting at the back and I managed to get the most vibrant part of this workshop. That is the performance done by you all. I must say it was fantastic. Some of the acting is really very good, okay? In fact, I'd like you all to do the same sketches you have when you go back to your centers. I believe it will benefit many others who are not here today, okay? And I'd also like you all to, when you go back to the center, tell the center chairman, okay, next Thursday and next Tuesday, I'd like to share with the devotees what I've learned here. Because unless you do that, within the next few days, you'll forget most of what you've learned because that's how our mind works. Share, okay? And to make sure that we can tap Sister Rita and Bob's experience, we have set up an e-group already. It's called a Sai Parenting at yahoo.com, okay? This is started by Brother Rajan. Brother Rajan, is he here? Yeah. Ah, fantastic. He was the one who initiated this, okay? And the other moderator is Sister Shankari. Shankari, you here? Okay. Now, if you have not given her your emails to both of them, pass it to them, they will bounce you an invitation. And also, we hope to keep you on the loop. And so what happens is when you reply, when someone sends a question, everyone receive it. And hopefully when Bob and Rita is free, they will bounce back some replies to you. Okay? And this is how we can keep ourselves on a learning loop, okay? In fact, all of us here have really benefited a lot. Really, really. And that I must thank Bob and Rita to take all the trouble, all the time. As much as they share their heart with you, we hope that you also share what you have learned with others. Share with your colleagues what you have learned, okay? Share with your friends. And share your experience with this. Whenever you have an interesting article, write to this. So everyone will learn about this. And with that, Sister Rita and Bob, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us. We hope you will come back again and to share with us the conscience of love.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, yes,
Sarah,
it
thank you.
Okay. What is there that we can give brother and sister? What is there? Love. Okay. We can give them all the love, but we still like to give them something that they can take home and look at it and smile, look at it and smile again. Okay? So I'll get brother to hand over. You'll see what it is in a short while.
Oh,
Okay, get it.
how beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
What a precious gift.
Oh,
You all can have a look at it before you all leave.
It's called a Sai Parenting, a Sai Marriage session with Rita and Robert Bruce. With love and thanks from Sai devotees in Malaysia.
beautiful.
All the photographs here were the activities that were done while they have been with us over the week. Okay. Magic?
It's just outstanding. I don't know how you people do these things so quickly.
Go on.
There's the one with the government too.
What a keepsake. Oh my God. What a beautiful keepsake. And the way it's arranged, we'll set it up here so you can all come and take a look. Oh my goodness, who is this guy here? Look at that smiling face.
Oh, look at Jaga with the garland.
Garland, oh, you even got that when Jagadish made us do a ceremony together, a marriage ceremony, and garland the both of us and put our heads together, and then he told Robert he had to get out of the garland without taking it off his head. And you know, this husband of mine knew what to do. He
Well,
bowed
pretty
down and
neat
kissed
slide.
my feet, and the garland fell off. Not quite, but he did. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What a beautiful thing. I will sit there and cry every time I look at this. Oh, I will keep you in our hearts. You keep us in yours. We all pray to Swami for each other so that we can all go home at the end of this birth to his divine home. Sai Ram.
Okay, just two more. Okay, just bear with me. Now, of course, Brother Mahindran said, everything was organized A to Z, but you must remember there was a team that did it, okay? One person couldn't have done it. So, I'd just like to thank just two of them are here now, our parent care team members, Sister Vijaya, and Sister Tara. Okay. Then the third person, I have a problem mentioning her name because every time I mention it, she says, no, you shouldn't do that again. So I'll mention it again. That's Sister Shankari over there at the back there. I'm sure you all saw the flyer, right? The marriage flyer. She was the architect behind the flyer, and she has been conducting all the centers all over the country to get in names, register, and so on. So, and she says, stop it from there. Okay, now, and the youth leaders here, you must be very, very proud of the youths. The public program, all that set up there, the projector, the lighting, the sound system. And last week we had a ton of things here. Today is quite simple, last week there was a lot of stuff here. the youths did it. Okay, so youth leaders were here, take note. Give them a big hand, please. And of course, last but not least, thank you once again. I'll tell you, they've been with Swamis for so many years, they know so much, and yet they are so humble. They're extremely humble, very simple people, very loving, extremely punctual. They have never been late for any of these activities that we have been going over these 10 days, 12 days. And lastly, I learned something yesterday. They love ice cream. So we had to go to Stevenson's yesterday and have ice cream. Swenson's, have ice cream. Otherwise, their mission to Malaysia would not have been complete. Okay. Thank you once again. Give them a big hand. And thank all of you for being here today, for being so cooperative, so punctual, and so beautiful. Thank you. Saira.